Hello, hi, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will continue from where we left off in the last video. In the last video, we created the following screen, if you remember, which is this one. If you haven't watched my previous video, please go and watch it. And before we start, just wanted to let you know all the code regarding all these videos are there in the description. So please feel free to use that code or go through that code if you have any issues, any doubts. And I'm also open to any feedback. I'm also new to this particular framework. I have recently started learning this few months back. So if you have any suggestions, any feedback, please let me know in the comment section. Let's begin with the next screen, which is the discover screen, which will look something like this. If you can see, I have taken the design for this from the actual application. Let me show you how it looks like in the app. So it looks something like this in the application. So I have tried to replicate it as close as I can, just by looking at it and trying to replicate it. There might be some differences here and there, but I have tried to make it as close as possible. This is what we were following, the format of or the folder design, folder structure for this particular project. As you can see, these are screens and these are the components. A lot more components have been added. A lot more components have been added. I have cleared out a lot of designs and I have added a lot of styles with regards to this particular screen. So let's start with the discover screen. Let's scroll down and start from here. So as you can see, what we are doing here is we are adding the view and giving the style flex 1, which will take the entire screen, and we are adding the top bar. So this is the same component that we have used in the last video, which is the top bar. Then we have added the background color, and then we have added the discover title, which is this, and this is the style for this, for the discover header. So these stuff are pretty simple. We have just added the top bar that we have created in the previous video, and we have added the header. After that, what we have done here is we have added the scroll view, and the scroll view is for the vertical scroll, which you can see for this particular screen. And inside that, there is something called flat list that I have used. So you can see there is a scroll view, and inside that I have added few more view components, and inside the second view component I have added a flat list. So this flat list, what it does is it takes the style of flat list, which is this, which is colors.background and padding vertical as 8, and I have removed the horizontal scroll indicator, and I have made it as horizontal because we want to scroll it horizontally. And for the data, I have added a dummy data for now, which is suggestion videos. If you scroll up, you will see I have added this small array, or I would say a small JSON sort of data, for which the interface is this. It has ID, thumbnail, views, channel, video, and tag. Okay. So this is the small data that I have created, which is basically a dummy data, and I am using this particular data to populate my flat list. So here you can see for the data I have added as suggestion videos, and then for the rendering the item, I have created a separate component called suggestion video card, which takes the item as in the individual object. So I'm passing the individual object to the suggestion video card. If you open this, you can see it is basically a single card which is having border radius and margin horizontal as 4, and I have added a separate component called live chip, basically, which is this one, as we are going to use this chip at multiple places. This tag or chip which is having a text of live. I've created this also as a separate component, which basically is simply a text, but this is the style for it. So once we have done that, I have added the image for which the source is getting fetched from the video, which we have passed in the render item, and for the URI I'm using video.thumbnail, which is basically this particular dummy URL. Yeah. So after the image has been added, we are adding a different component called viewers chip, which is basically this tag which is displaying the viewers count, and I'm passing the count in the prop. If I open up this viewers chip, this is a separate component which is basically simply a text having the style this, and I'm using this component to display the viewers count. So this entire component is getting used in the render item section or the render item prop in the flat list. Once we have done this, once we have added this, it will take care of this entire thing. Then we will move to the next section, which is basically displaying the current stream's information. That is, whatever stream that is there up, it will display the information of it at the bottom. So for that also I have created a separate component called live stream description, which is basically having few text inside it. So as you can see, I have nested a text component inside a text component, since we wanted to display two different words in bold and one without the bold style. So this is hard coded for now, but you can pass in some data or something and you can display it over there. You can pass in the prop regarding this and you can display the data accordingly. And this is the style which is getting used inside this particular component. So once we have done that, we also cover up this particular section. So by now we have covered the header, the top bar, the flat list, and the description. Next comes up the tags for the categories of stream. So for this also I am using a scroll view, which is a horizontal scroll view, and I am removed the scroll view indicator for this. And inside this I've also created a separate component regarding the category card, which is called stream category card. So as you can see, it is basically a text and having some style to it and an icon that I have taken up from the material community icon section. So for now I've added a dummy category. As you can see, there are multiple tags with the same name and icon, but as I said, you can pass some data to this particular component and populate it accordingly. So as you can see, I've added 3-4 components here, but what you can do here is you can actually have some data and map this particular component inside the scroll view. Okay, so once that is done, let's move to the next section. Now this particular section or this particular component is something that is getting used multiple times throughout the screen. The only thing that is getting changed here is the header. So there is different sections, as you can see: live channels we think you will like, recommended smaller communities, recommended Valorant channels, and so on and so forth. So for all these, what we can do is we can create just one common component which takes in the header for now as the prop. Later on, what you can do is if you have some actual data, you can pass the actual data also in the prop. But right now, what I have done is I have hard coded these values and I'm passing the header in the props. And instead of just passing the text, what I'm passing here is I'm passing the component itself, the header component itself in the prop, not just the text, not just the text string, but as you can see, I am passing an entire component inside it. Because as you can see, it is not just simply a text everywhere. There is something called, there is live channels we think you will like, which is very simple text, but then after that you can see there is some designs also, some styling that is also happening over here. So there are multiple ways to approach this. You can have some enum to check what type of category this is and accordingly design the header. Or you can, what you can do is you can just simply pass the header component itself to the prop. So I've taken the latter approach where I'm passing the header itself in the prop. And for this particular component, I have for this particular section or for this particular card, I have created a different component called discover video cards. And if I open this up, you can see it's pretty simple. What we have done here is that we have created a card, a view, or an image where we are taking this as the dummy data. The height and width is this, and I again use the live chip, which I've talked about, and the viewers chip, which I've also talked about. And after that, in the bottom section, you can see this is basically a view of row orientation, where the left image is the channel image, then the channel name, then the current stream title, then the menu option, the 3-dot menu option, and the language tag. So for this tag also, I have created a separate component called tag chip, where you can just simply pass the text which you want to display. So if I open this up, you can see this is simply a text having some style inside it. And all the rest of the things, I think it's pretty simple, where you can see we have just added some text and some style to it, then some text and then some style to it. That's it. So this is basically a row which is having 3 sections. The left is the image, the center is the info text, and right is the icon. That's it. And what we are doing here is, as I said, we are taking the header itself as the prop. So if at the top you can see I'm directly populating the header from the props.header. So whatever header I have passed, I am populating it over here. And that's pretty much it. So once we have created this particular component, what we have to do is just simply we have to pass the header component inside it. So for this particular section, I'm passing this as the component. And then there is a different section in between where we are suggesting, where the Twitch app suggests the categories the user might like. For this also, I've created a separate component, this card text sort of view, which is called category like. Yeah, so for this section also, you can see in this particular component, it is pretty simple. There is a header at the top which says categories you think you will like. I've again used a nested text component here for that, and then below that there will be a number of categories. For the sake of the demo, I have just added one, but if you have some real data, you can just simply map and populate the categories accordingly. You can simply create this also a separate component and use it to populate the cards. So this is the image I have taken for this, the text, which is this, then the viewers count, and finally the tag chip for displaying the shooter tag. Okay, so as I said, what you can do here is you can take this as a task, if you will, where you have to add some props inside this particular component, where you are passing some, let's say, list of card data, and you are creating a separate component for this and populating it dynamically. Okay, instead of just hard coding it like I did for the sake of the demo, you can create this as a separate component and populate it dynamically. Okay, so once you have done this, the categories we think you will like section is over, and after that we have to just again use after this we have to use again and again the discovery video card section with different text component, with different header component. So you can see for this recommended smaller communities, I'm again calling the same component which we did at the top, just passing a different header component. Then below that there is something called recommended Valorant channel. Here I'm using a different header component, as I'm using a nested text component for this. Then again a similar sort of approach for the all aboard hype train section. Then again a similar sort of approach for the clips we think you will like section. So once you write all this, you will be able to replicate this as I have done. So this is pretty much it. I think this is a very quick video regarding this particular screen. So in the next video, we will try to cover both these screens, the browse and the search section. And if you have any feedback for my videos, any suggestions or topics on which you want me to make some videos, please let me know in the comment section. I will be making videos on Android like Jetpack Compose, Android, Kotlin, and React Native in the future. So please Please let me know if you have any suggestions regarding it. So thank you for watching my video, and if you have watched it till the end, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Thank you and have a nice day.